Yeah, so thanks for putting this together. I am Patrick Plonski with Pometa. I'm just gonna briefly talk about the current state of our system and the kinds of things that we're working on to try to make it even more useful for growers next growing season. So the overall overview of the system is the user performs a scan with an iPhone, uploads it to our system. It's processed in the cloud, and then metrics are reported back to the user using a web interface. And these metrics are the fruit size, count, and color, all the way from fruitlet stage, so about 5 millimeters to harvest, and then post-harvest, we can also scan the top of the bin. We automatically apply the fruit growth rate model to predict the abscisse rate, so that we can predict how many fruitlets you'll end up in a few weeks after the fruit abscisses. And then we can automatically predict the size projection. So it'll take the current size profile and then apply a size growth rate model similar to the Vivid model. Some new features that we are working on right now that we'll have ready for 2024 are the trunk size metrics, so that we can provide the trunk cross-sectional area from these scans, as well as the pushing the usability of the system earlier in the season. So for 2023, we had some test scans for bud counts and bloom counts. 2024 we'll be able to provide that as a real part of the product. So if you don't know, this is how you use the Pometa system. It's just you just use an iPhone, and then we have this up-down scanning procedure, and this lets the system get a really good view peering into the tree from all different angles, to have the most accurate estimate of the count, and also just being able to see the largest amount of fruits that it can see. And this is an advantage of the mobile device-based system, that we can do this sort of trajectory and perform a real 3D reconstruction. A 3D reconstruction that has more views of the individual fruits. So these are the sorts of if you then do a walking scan, which is recommended later on in the season for things like size and color estimation. These are the sorts of results of the system. So it's measuring all the fruits that it sees. It can see the fruit on the ground, but it will of course reject those. And this is just see a few more examples here. It works even when it's relatively backlit, even when the fruit is quite green still. The fruit detection and tracking system is overall quite robust. We're very happy with it. It's very good at seeing the fruit. It's very good at accurately sizing and counting the fruit that it sees. Now, of course, it doesn't see every fruit, and neither does a human. It's like something that we'll talk about. This is what the dashboard looks like early on in the season, so we can say what the crop load is, and then you'll have the projected crop load as well during the fruitless stage, so 7 millimeters. And that is using automatically applying the fruit growth rate model. And then later on, we can, giving a predicted harvest date or giving a user provided dates that they would like to harvest this block, we estimate how big the fruit will be, as well as then the bins per acre, both the size and the count, so that you can get the yield. So our main achievements during this past season are we rolled out the iOS app. Previously, we had been only Android, and we implemented this whole backend cloud system. We changed the system around the markers. This is so that, if you have a ATV based system, a lot of times it makes sense to just scan the whole row, but for the phone system, the user doesn't really want to have to walk up and down every row holding their phone. And also, this doesn't really slot into their existing workflow. So the way that growers currently like to think about their early season fruitlet management is that they're comfortable going back to these sets of trees, and so we mark the set of trees that is going to be considered in the scan using these little visual markers that are just mounted. So we changed the setup around that to make it a little bit easier. It seemed to work out pretty well. And then we started some initial work towards bug scanning, and we implemented bin scanning. And you can see we are testing this out in a wide range of conditions, a lot of different organizations, and a lot of total scans processed here. The main things that we are looking at improving for 2024 are the things here. So of course, obviously, we always need to work on improving our customer training, documentation, and support, as I'm sure we're all aware that customer support is critically important here to make sure that people know how to use the system, how to interpret the results. We have a lot of app usability improvements in the works. In particular, some iPhones have a tendency to overheat in the bright sun, so we're looking at ways to address that. One of the downsides of there are advantages to relying on Apple's hardware. It has very good cameras. We don't have to deal with the manufacturing and stuff, but sometimes it doesn't exactly meet our purpose, and so we have to recommend some things to help customers deal with this. And then we're looking at ways to improve the communication on scan processing so that the grower can perform a bunch of scans with their phone. And then currently they have to go into the app and see, watch the scans get processed. But we're going to turn this into a system that can just ping them and do things like push notifications, so that they know exactly where they're at, which scans worked, which scans didn't work, just to make providing the faster feedback, which should make the experience of performing these scans easier. I talked a bit, we're going to be providing bug and bloom insights earlier in the season now. We're going to be providing better insights into the per tree crop load variability, and then the trunk width, so that we can, as Terrence was talking about earlier, that it's not necessarily sufficient to know how many fruit you have per tree. You want to know how many fruit you have as a function of your trunk width, for the accurate pruning and thinning recommendations. Occlusion modeling is a big deal for us as well as everyone. We aim to have a system that requires no customer ground truth counts at all, because this is a very bad experience for the customer when they have to do this. But it's of course a very challenging problem that you are using a vision-based system, and so you see the fruit that you see, but we know that there are often some fruit hidden behind those fruit. And so we continue to work to refine our systems to be able to accurately estimate, as accurately as possible, the true number of fruit on the tree. And working with a lot of researchers in this project has been very helpful for us, as getting some ground truth validation of how well it is working in their various settings. Finally, we have been offering an ATV-based solution where we recommend that the user mounts the phone on the ATV, and they can drive around and perform a scan that way. And after, it's just not going to be, the usability just isn't there, especially compared to, a lot of these very impressive systems that are designed to be mounted to an ATV. That trying to make it so you can do this with a phone, it just doesn't play to the strengths of our system. So our focus for 2024 is to really focus on this handheld sampling based approach, and just really play to the strengths of the system rather than trying to also support ATV scanning. Because I think if a customer is really interested in ATV scanning, they're probably better off with some of these other systems.